1988 Honda Accord. We wanted to focus on making everything work. We got the motor in there, all the suspension in there, front and rear, everything is looking really good. Now we got to kind of shift gears a little bit and not just make things work because they already work. We got to go ahead and finish everything out. I want to build up the trans tunnel. I'm going to build a tunnel for the drive shaft, and I'm going to do all of this just by hand. Some people had suggested, why don't I use the GTO tunnel? But to make a tunnel from this car, try to fit in this car, all the in-between work is gonna get sloppy. So I figured, let's just make something, let's do it by hand, and let's make it look right. And also, merch has dropped.
And now, you're watching the At This Point 2020 is so far gone, all we can do is try to soak it in some rice channel of YouTube. Welcome to Bodie Vision.
Hey, so what is up and welcome. Thank you so much for joining me on another video. I hope you guys are staying safe out there, staying clean. Now before this video actually starts, I want you guys to leave in the comment section down below, do you guys actually know anybody that's sick? I'm not into conspiracies or anything like that. I just like to mess around, but it's weird to me that it's such a gigantic... forget about that. So what we're going to get into is the 1988 LS swapped Honda Accord. So if you can see right here, we have the transmission sitting all the way up in the car, and the reason why it's so high, I wanted the floor to be a little bit lower than the transmission because we want this car to be safely slammed, so that way I can have it nice and low and make sure that I'm extra safe. The car is not going to be slammed, it's just going to be really nice and low. So I built this out in one of my videos before, kind of just got this little framing structure going on. This is just to hold this frame piece out right here. So I'm going to go ahead and build and use these to figure out a plate to go right here, a plate to go right there, a plate to go upwards. And once I make this top plate, I'm going to have to put some angles on it, and those angles can't be too long because of the press is not actually going to allow you to put a piece in there, make one angle that's way up, because the metal itself will bind up with the press. So I'm just going to have small angles off there, then another piece to come off it, and let's just get these tops drawn out, placed in, and then go from there. So with just the rectangle out, I went ahead and I mapped out where I want to actually put my bends, but before I can put it in the press to bend it, I need to go ahead and put it in the bead roller, because once it's bent, you can't put it in the bead roller. And that's what those little 45-degree marks are. Those are to give me reference on exactly where I want to make my little beads at, and those are just consistent from one to the other. I just use a 2x4 just to keep the placement the same. It doesn't matter what the measurements are as long as they're consistent. The same from left to right, same from front to back, and I just have it on a 45-degree angle off of the entire piece. So we're going to go ahead and get that thrown in the bead roller and then bend it, and then we'll see how it looks in the car. It's good, man. I like it. I like it. It's alright. Dang, so that looks really good. Now there's a couple of reasons why I put those bead rolls in there. Number one, because it looks cool, but number two, because it actually adds strength to the metal. And how it does that is it stresses it out. Just like when you flex a muscle, it's flexing the metal, making it a little bit stronger. So you can actually get away with using a thinner gauge metal or a higher gauge metal, which actually is a little bit thinner. The higher the gauge, the thinner it gets. Anyway, so you can use a lighter metal that's just as strong as a thicker metal, and we've already added quite a bit of weight to the car. Now this isn't really really structural, even though it does add structure. This is more filling in the gaps and closing everything in. So this looks really good. The bead rolls look really good, and they add strength as well. So now I want to get the front going, and something that I like to do, I kind of like to alternate between how the pattern's laying, meaning we have these on a 45 going that way. So up here I'm going to do a 45 this way, and we also have to consider the fact that we have this going on. So what I do for that is I just take my micrometer right here, find out what this measurement is right here, and then I look at this, and then I take half that distance, make this in to where it's half, and then I can use this prong and this prong right here on some metal. And I'll just show you this just to kind of represent what I'm doing. So you leave it down, you pivot it, and that'll do. So as long as you keep it on there right in the center. I was all over the place, but it'll keep it. I'll just show you on the piece. Man, that is money. So if you can see, like I mentioned a little bit ago, these on the 45 are going this way, these on the 45-degree angle are going this way, and they're all the same distance off from edge to edge here and here, every single one of them. So even consistent through this entire edge, so every single piece is coming along. Also, it's that same distance in the front, so this only comes to the front so far, this only comes to the front so far, it comes to the edge the same distance, and the edge the same distance, and that's what I drew all out with the Sharpies. But then once it's bead rolled, we can just wipe off the Sharpie, and it just leaves this beautiful, nice looking custom piece that I didn't spend much time on it, but it looks really good. Looks like a high quality piece. I'm happy with that. So now we got to figure out the sides. Don't know what I'm gonna do yet. Don't know. Don't know. Dang, so it is definitely coming along now. It's really cool because I'm starting to get some strength back in the floor. Before, you couldn't stand here, but now it's solid. We are getting some strength back, like I just said. We're definitely going in the right direction. So what I was thinking is right now the next thing that I gotta do, the next thing that I want to do is I want to start working on that front section. I want to work on where the transmission tunnel is, but since I've already showed you some mapping out and cutting and bead rolling and bending, I don't want the video to get repetitive. I always try to keep it limited to what I'm showing you, to only one thing, even though if I'm doing that one thing a whole bunch of times. So I thought, in the meantime, as I'm doing that, let me show you what's going on with the merch. I know you've been seeing a lot of the branding stuff come out. I kind of wanted to come out with it and let you see it, and now it's actually available. So what we have right here is we actually have 3 different designs. The first one is the one with the cat logo on that. You've seen that a bunch of times on that banner in the background. Really cool, really nice design. It's the black shirt with the white, black, and yellow logo. We also have the eagle tee, so that's just like the other one. And then if the cat and the eagle are a little bit much for you, if you wanted something a little bit more subtle, we also have the Bodie Vision Weld Fab paint tee, and that shirt's in a dark gray. And then we also have 2 hats. We have the one that you see me wearing all the time, that's just the retro logo trucker hat, and then also we have the trendy, the dad hat. That's a gray or stone beige. It's a beige stone color, and that has the black embroidery on it, and that one looks really good as well. Last but not least, we have the key tags. This is a leather key tag. We have black, we have brown. Sorry if you didn't like the merch plug, I'm not going to be doing that anymore. The link will be in the description down below. So I did make a little bit of headway on the trans tunnel, but then I had to step back and think and ask myself, am I doing the right thing at this time? And the answer to that question is, I don't really know. I know I test fitted the headers before and they did not fit perfectly. So if you can see, the shape of the actual header is really close. It comes this way, dives down, and then underneath. But we have this bolt in, but these, it can't come up high enough, but it's only a little bit off. The gap is just right there. So what I'm thinking is, rather than cutting up these Cook headers, which are really nice headers, I'm just gonna raise the floor where the headers go just a little bit, because I'm redoing the trans tunnel anyways. So to just do the floor a little bit over is no big deal. I've done it before. I did this on the Ranchero. I'm just gonna go ahead and cut the floor a little bit. Well, that's what I think I'm gonna do. Before I actually make that call, I wanna come over here and take this exhaust and try to at least get the X pipe on there. I want to use this section over here, this whole thing, the X pipe. I don't know yet what I'm going to do with all of this over there, but a bare minimum, I want to use the headers from the GTO and the X pipe from the GTO. We'll figure out the resonator or mufflers or anything further down the road. So the question is now, where do we go from here? It's game plan time. So if you couldn't tell what I was saying earlier by how the headers perfectly fit, this fits perfect right there, comes this way, and everything looks really good. That's actually under the floor right there, but it needs to come up just a little bit. And this section right here, you can't really see it on the camera that well, but that's actually the frame. There's a frame right here from the Accord that the bottom of this is welded to. So I have this frame right here that was from the Accord. I'm gonna sit a piece of metal frame on this, run it through here, and then run it all the way on top of the frame. Keep in mind, under this is a frame, and then it's gonna go up and tie into all of this back there. So I'm gonna have a 45 down to a new frame, running all the way across the floor, tie into the trans mount all the way over, and then that's eventually going to go through right there and connect with the frame that I built for the front that's holding the engine together. So the front all the way through to the middle, all the way through to the back, is all going to be held together. And this stuff is looking really good. It's a little bit crazy just because of what it is. This car was never meant to have this and never ever meant to be this low, being a rear-wheel drive car. And that's just sitting in there. So since we had to cut this out, the floor actually needs to be a little bit higher. So I'm gonna have a metal 2x2 right here. And then on top of that 2x2, we're gonna go over, and then from there, we're gonna go up to finish out the trans tunnel. And with all that new metal that I'm going to be adding, I'm gonna do all the same stuff, bead rolling it, making sure it's nice and strong. And it's really hard to weld to this current floor just because there's all that undercoating on there, so the welds end up looking really gross and really nasty. But if they work, they work, and it's gonna be even easier to fill in that transition now if we're going from brand new metal up to brand new metal and then over to a 2x2, which is nice, medium, thick. So that's gonna make my job a lot easier as well. So sometimes it's just a little bit better to get rid of all the old crap and just build from there. Like I said, full circle moment at the beginning of this video, if I were to take the GTO trans tunnel and all of that stuff, there's no way I would have been this far. We're gonna be wrapping this up in the next video. So man, I think that's going to be it for this one, you guys. If you're at home quarantined, I'm not going anywhere. I work by myself at the shop for the most part. I don't have any employees or anything out here, so I'm not going nowhere. No quarantine for me, or being at the shop is quarantined on its own. So, like I said earlier, check out the merch. If you are interested in any of that stuff, I appreciate it at least checking out. Any order I appreciate as well, and I want to try to figure out how to do some kind of promo giveaway stuff, and we will see. So thank you guys so much for watching. Like this video, comment, subscribe, do all the stuff. You know what it is, YouTube. Check out the merch, wash your hands. I'm out.